Moemi has published a number of gazettes which detail the country's new toll tariffs for 2021. The gazettes outline the fees for key toll roads across the country, which are set to come into effect at midnight next month. Moemi has also published the fees schedule for the controversial Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project, also known as the e-tolls. E-tolls have in the past been met with resistance from road users since inception in 2013. Wayne Duvenage is Organisation Against Tax Abuse CEO. Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. So let's just first with this, establishing the facts. In October last year, the Transport Minister said that his department is being impeded from rolling out new road infrastructure projects because of a lack of resolution around e-toll. So how are we at this point?
Yeah, look, I mean, we found that a misleading statement because the department does get funds from Treasury. It has ever since they realized the e-toll matter was defunct. And we've always said that that's where the funds should come from for the freeway upgrade bonds, because this is urban infrastructure. It is infrastructure we use. It's social infrastructure we use daily to get to and from work and places of worship and sports and schools. So, quite frankly, you know, pushing up the e-toll bill by another 3%, which is what they've increased it by, is meaningless when less than 18% pay the e-toll bill. So it's a case of 0 rands times by 3% increase. It's still 0 rands. It really is a bit of a farce.
And just about that, Cabinet was set to finalize the funding new funding model for the project after receiving proposals from the Department of Transport. Has this been finalized? This is what I want to get, because there wasn't necessarily consensus around this proposal, as you say.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time now, government has, Cyril Ramaphosa tasked Fikile Mbalula, the Transport Minister, to find a solution, the alternatives to e-tolls. We've presented, we've shown a number of avenues that they could take. I think they have resolved themselves or come around to the fact that e-tolls is not working. We believe they do plan to pull the plug on the scheme, but only once the current tender for the e-toll scheme has been finalized. It was in court recently, and I think what they're trying to do is put the mechanisms and the systems that they've paid for and put in place, the transaction clearinghouse system that is to good use, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they will scrap e-toll. So if you're going to use it for integrated billing, whether you use it for other tolls, for parking garages, for trains and buses, that's a good thing. We paid for this, so let's use that. But it's not going to keep the e-toll matter around. Okay,
I want us to look at the tariffs and how exactly they are structured. And we'll talk about Gauteng in just a moment as well. What does it mean? Because there's the e-tolls in Gauteng and then there's the national tolls.
Yes. So, well, they're two different things. Yes. So national tolls, it's 100% hit rate. They don't raise the boom until you pay. E-tolls is 18%, as I said, hit rate, because of the drive now, pay later scheme that they cannot manage or administer and they cannot enforce. So the e-toll scheme is dead, but that's gone up by 3%, as have all the other tolls. But here's the problem. All the other toll routes over the number of years, decades that they've been going for, have increased on average for the last 11 or so years by nearly 90%. And that's a massive increase. In fact, in Tsitsikamma, that that toll tariff has gone up by 390%. Big increases. You know, if you're going down to
I'm looking at it now. At Class 4, you're going to pay anything up to almost 486 Rand.
Yeah, it depends which way you're going. I mean, if you just went down to Mpumalanga and back, that's what you're going to pay, close to 600 Rand a trip. Mikado toll gantry or toll plaza on its own is 99 Rand. So, you know, the motorist is hit in so many ways with fuel levies, with excise duties, with tolls. It's really becoming expensive to own a vehicle these days.
So, I mean, I know at some point there was that issue around Gauteng, and commuters here were saying, you know, we find ourselves having to pay double there's the e-tolls and then there's the natural tolls that you're talking about. And we were told by government that no, this setup was going to be throughout the country. So what does it mean for Gauteng commuters now? These increased tariffs and still no resolution on the e-tolls, the scrapping thereof.
Yeah, well, they've got to make that decision and soon, because as we've said, with over 80% not paying, they're barely collecting enough, by the way, around 50 million rand a month just to pay for the collection process. So it doesn't make any sense. So if Gauteng citizens have done a great job in dismissing the scheme and bringing its demise, I think government has to learn and needs to do these things properly going forward. But we are paying. We pay about 34% of the fuel levy here in Gauteng. We don't have 34% of the road surface. In fact, government's plan was to try and collect around about 32% of its revenue from 1% of its road surface if it got the e-toll scheme right. And that is not a user pay scheme. That is a user abused scheme. We pay for the roads through taxes, through fuel levies. There's enough funds there, although the country's in a totally different situation since the pandemic. But the reality is motorists have contributed their fair share. Gauteng is not going to be subjected to e-tolls. That's been clear. And neither is any other city, by the way. Not eThekwini, not the Western Cape. There will be no e-tolls introduced there. We know that. Government has acknowledged that. And certainly they need to pull the plug here.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Wayne. Wayne Duvenage is the CEO of the Organization Against Tax Abuse, or ARTA, that tariff increase coming into place the 1st of March at midnight. Now, the Free State government bursary holders